Giving all praise to the Most High through Mashiach. And just coming back, I want to touch on a topic here. Brothers and sisters, if you believe in the power of elected candidates to make change for you, for the country, for yourself, for your betterment, you're sadly mistaken. Candidates don't make change. Politicians don't make change. Lobbyists are the ones who make the change because they're filling the coffers of these candidates. They're pushing the agendas of the corporations that send them the money to fill the coffers of these candidates. So they're the ones that are really affecting and making change. You have to follow the money. What am I getting at? These candidates, are paid for and bought, most of them, right? And as I sit back, we're here in the election season. I talk to family, I talk to friends, and a lot of so-called black people, and a lot of them are still going to be voting for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, which it just flabbergasts me at times because our people, we're just so one and two dimensional. We don't think at a higher level. We don't think from a macro perspective, right? From a 30,000 view perspective, a bird's eye, right? To see the whole picture. Okay. And a lot of our people, we just don't read. We don't do research. Okay. As to who these people are and what they're really about. Right. And unfortunately, these are the same uninformed, misinformed, low information people that are going to be going to cast their ballots for these candidates. And it's definitely sad to see. Again, listen, I'm apolitical. I've said this in another video before, right? But if you believe in the paradigm of voting and you believe that candidates are elected as opposed to selected, then hey, you should not be voting for Democrats or the Democratic Party if you're a so-called black man, right? Or so-called black woman, because you're voting against your best interest. Okay? You're voting against your best interest. And, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to just give a little information about a particular candidate here, in case people have not done the research. Miss Kamala Harris, right? Miss Kamala Harris, or as I like to call her, Kamala Heels Up Harris, Kamala Headboard Harris, Camel Toe Harris, Kamala Horus, the whore of Babylon, figuratively and literally. Okay. She does the bidding of Babylon and the Babylonian elites, and she does her job well. All right. Do the research for yourself. Don't let the darker hue, when I say darker, I mean in comparison to non-melanated people, don't let the darker hue fool you. She's not for you. Okay. So-called black man, so-called black woman, she could care less about you or your plight. Okay. For instance, right? Did you know that Kamala Harris is on record as quoting, and I'll read the quote here for you. The idea that we incarcerate people to have indentured servitude is one of the most, the idea that we incarcerate people to have indentured servitude is one of the worst possible perceptions. I feel very strongly about that. It evokes images of chain gangs. Okay. Now, despite that quote, despite Kamala saying, hey, I'm not about having prisoners be, in servitude, she pushed back against a federal order to expand an early parole program. She argued that it would deplete their stock of prison labor, okay? Especially inmates who were readily available to fight wildfires, right? Senator Harris is a California senator, and California has a lot of wildfires. So Senator Harris was against a federal order to expand an early parole program in California because she said it would deplete the stock of prison labor. So this woman in one breath says, "Hey, prison servitude, I'm not with that. It breaks my heart. It makes me think about chain gangs." But her actions are saying something totally different. Okay. That woman she wrecked California as far as the justice system is concerned when it came to Black and brown people. She's on record of saying this herself. She actually decided to prosecute the parents, not the students, the parents of students that were skipping school, that were being truant. Okay. There's people who went to jail, right? Because they're 15, 16, 17-year-old, damn near grown teenager decided to skip school and was truant for a number of days. She didn't do anything to put pressure on that student themselves. She goes and she arrests the parents and have them locked up. Okay. That is unjust, right? Those are older teenagers. And when they leave their parents' home, they could be telling their parents anything. I mean, you train up a child in the way that they should go. So you train them right when they're young, and hopefully when they get that age, that 15, 16, 17-year-old age before they're adults, before they're legally adults, right? You hope that they're able to do the right thing and remember the morals and the values that you instilled in them. But nonetheless, children that old, parents should not have to be accountable for children that old skipping school. Okay. They could be lying to their parents anything. Why is she doing that? Because she has a job to do. Her job is to keep that prison pipeline, that servitude of prison, that prison labor, right? She has to keep that going, keep that pipeline filled up with fresh recruits. Okay. There's 2 Black men that were on death row that she blocked the evidence for them to get released, right? California Supreme Court had to make her release evidence for one individual in particular to get that brother off. He was on death row for 18 years. Okay. She's not for you. She's not for you. She's not for our people. Why? Perfect segue. Because she's not our people. Not in the least. Okay. Let me just take it back here. We'll just talk about her lineage a little bit here. Kamala Harris is the daughter of a Jamaican man, Donald J. Harris. All right. Now, Donald Harris in 2018, he wrote an essay for the Jamaica Global, in which he wrote that his roots go back to his paternal grandmother, Miss Chrissy, or what they called her, Nay Christina Brown, who was a descendant of Hamilton Brown. Okay. Hamilton Brown is a slave owner who over his lifetime owned over 1,000 slaves. There is a town in Jamaica called Brownstown. It's named after Hamilton Brown. Okay. So she's descendant of Esau. All right. She comes from his stock, his lineage, mixed in with Elam, right? The Indians, right? Her mother was an Indian. Okay. So, of course there's Jake in there, but this woman, when she took the oath to be Senate, she went on record saying she's proud to be the first Indian U.S. Senator. Okay. Now, all of a sudden, she's the sister girl. She's the Black girl now. right? But she is not a part of the what you would call the diaspora, right, of our people. Okay, she just looks like us. I mean, there's tares amongst us. Okay, so her lineage is shot, her record is shot, right? And speaking of that record, there's more to Miss Kamala Harris. I mean, it just doesn't stop. She's the gift that keeps on giving when it comes to rabbit holes and conspiracies about the wicked and their wicked dealings, right? Back in 2013, Kamala Harris failed to prosecute One West Bank, right, in California, despite evidence suggestive of widespread misconduct. Right, the misconduct was uncovered by her office. This is when she was district attorney in California, before she ran for Senate. She was a district attorney, right? So she locked up a bunch of black folks, locked up a bunch of black men for smoking weed, minor drug offenses, locked up over 1,200 black men for that, right? Meanwhile, she goes onto the Breakfast Club and brags about smoking weed with Charlemagne the God and DJ Envy with his simple ass, and Angela Yee, right? And she brags about smoking weed while listening to Tupac and Snoop Dogg. Yo, Kamala graduated from Howard University. She said she was smoking weed in college while listening to Tupac and Biggie. But Kamala graduated Howard University in '89. Tupac's first album, Tupacalypse Now, didn't come out till '91, right? Snoop Dogg's first album, Doggy Style, didn't come out till '92, right? '92 or '93. Either way, they were like not putting out music when she graduated in '89. So like, I mean, she just panders and just makes up things to seem appealing to our people, and our people fall for a hook, line, and sinker all the time, right? But I don't want to digress. Kamala Harris, she didn't prosecute One West Bank when she was the district attorney in California. One West Bank was a lender that was basically practicing predatory lending. They were illegally foreclosing on homes because they had foreclosed on approximately 35,000 homes in California, right? And they initiated foreclosure procedures on an additional 45,000 more homes on top of the ones they had already foreclosed on. Okay. But some of those foreclosures, they didn't have proper documentation. They didn't actually have the authority to foreclose on them. There was just a lot of shady dealings going on. There was predatory lending taking place. They were lending to people that they knew could not afford the homes, just so they can go back and take the homes back from them later on, right? Predatory lending. She didn't prosecute this particular company, although the district attorney's office, her office that she was the head of, found that there was shady dealings and found that there was misconduct within the bank, right? I wonder why. Well, if you do the research on One West Bank in California, okay, you're going to find that bank, it has some very powerful people backing it, okay? That One West Bank has some some very, very powerful people backing it, right? And I'll just go into some of the names that are notably attached to One West Bank. One West Bank was led by our current Secretary of Treasury, Steve Mnuchin. Now, Steve Mnuchin is he was appointed by Donald Trump, right? But he used to lead One West Bank. Okay, So that's why I said, that's why I say I'm apolitical, because Donald Trump does some things that I don't like either. There's things he does that I like. There's things he doesn't, that he things he does that I like. Things he does that I don't like. Right. He's pretty much like controlled opposition. You know, he's like a bump in the road against what the deep state is trying to do. But Steve Mnuchin was a part. He led One West Bank. Some of the investors into One West Bank included John Paulson, Christopher Flowers, Michael Dell, the Michael Dell from Dell Computers, and Mr. George Soros. Okay, so no wonder she didn't prosecute that bank. It was owned by George Soros. Okay, her office found the mishandling of funds. They found the misconduct of One West Bank back in 2013. Well, guess what? That bank was sold the next year in 2014 for $3.5 billion, right? George Soros made off like a fat rat along with his investor friends, okay, with that bank. Meanwhile, they were foreclosing on homeowners and illegally pushing foreclosures as well, with mocked up documentation, false documents, also, you name it. They did whatever they had to do to snatch up property, foreclose on property, and take assets and make that company look as valuable as possible so they can go ahead and sell the equity and get that return on investment. Right? She watched them do that. This woman is wicked as hell. She watched them do that. This is a wicked woman. Okay? Very deceitful, very wicked, right? Now, I said that she's the whore of Babylon at the beginning of this, both figuratively and literally, okay? Figuratively, in a sense of her policies and everything I just kind of went through there, but literally, she's the whore of Babylon as well. Let's go ahead and get into that now. There you go, just a screen capture from Fox News, January 27th. I believe that was this year, of January 27th. Pictured here is former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown, all right, admitting to having an affair while he was married with Miss Kamala Harris. Now, him being married and having Kamala, that's not the big deal there. We know that, hey, a man can have more than one woman. That's not the big deal. But it's the fact that we're bringing out here is that Kamala is an opportunist, right? Yes, we dated. Yes, I may have influenced her career by appointing her to 2 state commissions when I was California Assembly Speaker. That's coming directly from Willie Brown, former California Assembly Speaker and the former mayor of San Francisco. He put Kamala on after she got him off. Get it? Okay. Willie Brown was about 6 years old. Kamala was 29 when they started, quote unquote, dating. All right. So she knew about the wife and everything. He was married. He still is married, if I'm not mistaken. He's never divorced his wife. I believe they are estranged. They don't live with each other, but he's still legally married to her. But that didn't stop Kamala. Kamala's doing her thing. She's getting on, right? She's doing whatever she has to do to make her way up that political ladder. Here's Kamala at another function with Mr. Willie Brown. And here's the payoff, right? Willie, is that a banana in your pocket? Or are you just happy to see me? That's what I can imagine her saying. That's what she's saying to him right now. They just laughing and cackling it up. You know, these two are too much, man. Seriously. But that's how she got on, by sucking off Willie Brown. That's how she got a start in her political career. Okay, but it doesn't stop there. Some of you brothers that grew up in the 90s, you know, grew up in the 80s and 90s, you probably recognize who that is to the right of Kamala Harris. That's former talk show host Montel Williams. He had a very popular talk show host career, his own show. He interviewed guests and what they do on talk shows these days. That's, when talk shows were really hot and popping back then. The Ricky Lakes, the Jenny Joneses, and, the Donahues, it was Montel Williams was in there with them. He was during that era, right? So he used to, quote unquote, date Kamala Harris. Now, here's the thing. This is at an ebony, some sort of ebony party, ebony event in honor of multiple sclerosis, trying to find a cure for multiple sclerosis and raise money. Montel Williams has multiple sclerosis, and he's in arm with Kamala Harris. This is, ink not even dry on the paper right after his divorce from his second wife. Right. And she's locked up with him and dating him. Okay. Arm in arm, dating, quote unquote, dating, AKA, screwing around. Why is that so significant? Well, he's fresh off a divorce. Remember, Kamala is the district attorney at this point. She spent 20 plus years as a district attorney. She's the district attorney at this point. She's not just a regular woman. Okay. So he wouldn't be fresh off a divorce, meet some thotty at the club, and he's got her. That's how he pulled her. That's not the case. There would have been more discreet actions taking place. Basically, what I'm getting at is they were fucking before Montel was done with his divorce. And again, for the man, no biggie. A man can have more than one woman. We get it. But again, it's just showing the opportunistic nature of Kamala Harris, right? And this is who our people are vying for. There's some dumbass silly commercial for one of her campaign ads, some brothers in the barbershop talking about, when black women are uplifted, they uplift the entire community. No, that's not the case. And we can see that right now because our community is in the shitter and black women are in charge in our community. They don't uplift the whole goddamn entire community. No, they do not. Right. And she's not what you would call a quote unquote black woman anyways. All right. So our people are falling for the bullshit hook, line, and sinker again. I just want to put a little information out there about her to give people some more insight. Those of you who buy into voting and you want to go ahead and do that. OK, let's get a couple scriptures and then we get out of here. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 7. All right. Proverbs chapter 7. We'll start at verse 1. My son, keep my words and lay up my commandments with thee. Keep my commandments and live, and my law as the apple of thine eye. Bind them upon thy fingers, write them upon the table of thine heart. Say unto wisdom, thou art my sister, and call understanding thy kinswoman, that they may keep thee from the strange woman. Right. It's kind of funny that the scripture is saying the strange woman, and she's basically a stranger, another nation. She's not us. That they may keep thee from the strange woman, from the stranger which flattereth with her words. For at the window of my house I looked through my casement and beheld among the simple ones. I discerned among the youths a young man void of understanding. And that's what's happening with a lot of our people right now, right? They're void of understanding. They don't do research. They don't study up on people, on their past, their policies, right? I bet you most of the people that's going to go cast their votes this coming Tuesday, they haven't even visited Kamala Harris's website to even see what she's really about, or Joe Biden's for that matter, right? Verse 8, passing through the street near her corner, and he went the way to her house. Simple people following deceitful, evil, simple people, right? That's the plot of Jacob, man. We're like what scripture calls a blind man groping in a noonday in Deuteronomy 28. It's part of the curses. Okay, let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus, or Sirach in the Apocrypha, chapter 26, and I'll start at verse 11. Watch over an impudent eye, and marvel not if she trespasses against thee. She will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler when he hath found a fountain, and drink of every water near her. By every hedge will she sit down and open her quiver against every arrow. Okay. A lot being said right here. Okay. That water being open for the thirsty mouth. You're right. Water represents wisdom. Right. So or doctrine. So she opens her mind to all sorts of doctrines. Okay. To the Marxist doctrines of George Soros that are coming to poison the black community. Right. That's what Kamala's done. Right. But also she opens her quiver to every arrow. I'm sure you guys can put two and two together as to what is a quiver and what is an arrow. A quiver holds arrows. Arrows represent the penis. Quiver represents the vag. And she's opening up to every arrow that comes by her way. Kamala is the whore of Babylon, figuratively and literally. Okay. One last scripture, Proverbs 23:26. My son, give me thine heart, and let thine eyes observe my ways. For a whore is a deep ditch. A strange woman is a narrow pit. She also lieth in wait as for a prey, and increaseth the transgressors among men. Truly, Kamala is going to increase the transgressors amongst men because she's pro-LGBTQ. Okay. P. Let's put the P on that for pederasty. They're pushing for that heavy. Right. Pro-abortion. Right. Killing off our babies. We got 450 to 657,000, anywhere between there, of our babies being aborted every single year. She wants to keep that going. Okay. Right. So she's going to have our people transgressing even more. All right. So be careful who you support. And with that, I hope this has been edifying. Peace and blessings. Shalom.